Hi readers, Chris here. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different, a little bit more casual, and I'm just going to talk to you about the books that I'm currently reading. I've realized recently that I don't really talk about books as I'm reading them over on YouTube here. You pretty much only see when the book is done and I do a review. Over on Instagram, I do a lot more catch-ups while I'm reading, like how I feel in the beginning, middle, and end. And I decided I wanted to try and do a little reading, I guess you could call it a vlog, I'm not sure, but a little bit of a reading update over here on YouTube to see if you are interested in that type of video. So I'm going to jump in and talk about the books that I have just finished recently. And I was a part of a laid-back readathon this past week, which has really helped me catch up on my reading. If you've been following my channel for a bit, you might know that back in July was a really busy time for me. I had a vacation that was almost 2 weeks long and I started a new job. So my reading kind of took a back seat and I only finished one book in July, which was Cinder, that I already did a review for a few weeks ago. Since then, I've been trying to catch up and finish all the other books that I've been reading, and luckily this past week I was able to finish 3 books, and they were Artemis Fowl and the Lost Colony. This is the 5th book in the Artemis Fowl series. I have been reading these books since the beginning of the year. I think there's only 2 more after this, so I'm getting really close to the end of the series, and I haven't been doing a lot of video reviews about this series. I mostly just post about them on my website. But if you want me to talk more about Artemis Fowl, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. The next book that I finished, which I actually just finished this book yesterday, was Song of Achilles. Now, Song of Achilles, I know is a super popular book. It's beloved by a lot of people. And I was looking for a standalone fantasy. I have a couple fantasy series I'm in the middle of, like Mistborn. There was another one I can't remember. But I didn't want to start any new series. I just wanted a standalone, which is why I picked out Song of Achilles. And it's a romance about Achilles and Patroclus. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name. I am still kind of trying to figure out exactly how I feel about this book, because there were some parts of this book that I absolutely loved. Some parts of this book that were super moving and like made me emotional. But then there's other parts of this book that did not connect with me. So I'm going to take the next week or 2 and try to figure out how I feel about this one before I post an actual review. I might have to do a full-length one on this to accurately describe all the feelings that I have about it. So if you loved Song of Achilles, or if you didn't like it, definitely let me know down below. The 3rd book that I finished recently was actually an ebook. I don't have a physical copy, but it was called Delirium. Now, Delirium is like a YA dystopian type book, and in this futuristic world, they treat love as a disease that everyone needs to be cured of. So, by the time you're born, I think it's at 18, is it 16 or 18? That's so terrible, I forget. But by 18, let's say, everyone in society gets cured. So they get a vaccination, basically, that cures them from love. So there's no crazy side effects from people feeling love. It was a really interesting concept, and the beginning of the book, there were some things that, like, I'm like, okay, you know, you could kind of see where things were going. It follows a lot of the same, you know, tropes that a lot of YA dystopian stories follow. But by the time it got to the end, it had a really great ending. There was actually like a ton of action. It was a ton of fun, and I ended up really enjoying it, really liking it. So definitely more to come about this one. This was actually the book that I finished not most recently. This is the book I finished first, so this is the first one I'm probably going to be doing a review for, an official review, this coming week. Now on to the fun stuff, and that is all the books that I am currently reading now. I'm a multiple book reader, so I'm always reading multiple books. I'm always reading books from certain genres, and I have 6 favorite genres that I basically read from, and my number one category or bucket is my recommendations, and those are stories that are picked out by my followers over on Instagram or BookTube. Next is my Stephen King book. I'm always reading a Stephen King book because I am on a journey to read everything that Stephen King has ever written. I'm going by order of publication date, so I started with Carrie back a few years ago. My most recent review that I did was for Thinner, and I will share which Stephen King book I'm reading now. An adult fantasy or sci-fi, a YA fantasy or sci-fi, a historical fiction or romance, and then a middle grade book. So, right now, I do not have a reader recommendation book that I'm reading right now. There is one that I need to pick up, but I have to physically go out to the store and buy it or order it online, and I just haven't had a chance to do that yet. But it will be coming soon. I will let you know. So, my Stephen King book, since I finished Thinner, the next one that came out by publication date is actually It. Woo-hoo-hoo! I have been a little bit dreading reading this book because it is so big, so big. This is the first time going over my Stephen King list that I actually considered skipping this one because I know this is going to be a commitment. But I figured I've already gotten this far, reading everything by publication date. I can't stop now. So I have dived into it. I've gotten through the first 200 pages or so. And I have to say, I am absolutely loving it so far. I am familiar with the It story. I've seen the 80s mini-series. It traumatized me as a child. I should not have been watching it. We put it on because we thought it was about a clown, my brothers and I, at a neighbor's house. That was a mistake. And then I know there's been the 2 recent movies that I both, enjoyed for the most part. But I know that there is a lot more material in the book that they did not cover in the movies or did not cover in the TV show. So I am really excited to dive in. And if it's one thing that Stephen King does really well, it's characters. And so far, the amount of detail that he's put into his characters, the members of the Losers Club, the way that they are now as adults, because it's the book actually starts out with the members of the Losers Club as adults, and then it kind of flashes back to when they were children. But you feel like you know all of these characters. You know them inside or out. You know their hopes, their dreams. You just know so much about them. So I am really excited to see where this one goes, and I'm actually getting through it a lot quicker than I thought I would. I only started it about a week and a half ago, and I'm already 200 pages in, so that's really exciting. Next up, I have my historical fiction / romance category. I just finished The Wise Woman by Philippa Gregory, so I decided it was time to do a romance, and I picked out Tokyo Ever After, which actually came in one of my recent Spearcraft book boxes. If you've been watching my book box unboxing videos, you'll know I got Tokyo Ever After. I think it was in the June box, and it sounded really adorable because it's supposed to be the Princess Diaries meets American Royals. And that is exactly what this book is. This book is absolutely hilarious. Hilarious. It is the funniest, YA romance I think I've read to date. I'm about halfway through this book so far. And every time I read this book, a couple chapters a day, I find myself laughing out loud. Just for an example, there's this one scene. So the setup of the book is Izumi. She's a young girl raised in America by a single mom. She finds out that she's the daughter of a Japanese prince. So she goes over to Japan to meet her father, but she doesn't know anything about Japanese culture, so it's a very like fish out of water story. And there's this one scene where she's trying to learn how to speak Japanese, and she thinks she's saying a certain word, but actually the word she's saying is boobs. And she texts one of her friends and is like, I just sang boobs, boobs, boobs to my Chamberlain. Like, I thought that was hysterical, but I just find this book is just so funny. The way she watches Downton Abbey on the plane, one of my favorite shows. She goes to karaoke and sings like Regulators, Warren G. I absolutely love this book. I cannot recommend it enough. I can't wait to get to the end of it. Hopefully it has a good ending, because so far this book is absolutely brilliant. Next, we have my YA fantasy, and I am continuing with the Lunar Chronicles. Because of the way that Cinder ended, I could not help myself. I had to immediately pick up the next one, which was Scarlet. Now, I am almost done with this book. I was actually hoping that I could finish this book today, but with filming this video and having to edit it and clean, I may not get there. But it was my goal to finish Scarlet today. If you saw my review of Cinder, you'll know I absolutely loved that book. The only thing that I did not like was the ending, because it ended on a huge cliffhanger. And I'm really happy that even though Scarlet is about a different character, Cinder from the first book still appears here. So we get to find out what happens to her and more of her story in this book, which I really, really appreciated. I'm hoping that this book doesn't also end on a huge cliffhanger, but I've heard that it has. And unfortunately, I do not have Cress in my possession yet, so I'm going to have to add that to the list of books that I need to buy. So that's at least two, Cress and City of Bones. Those are the two books I need to currently buy. And probably the sequel to Mistborn, because I haven't been able to find it anywhere, and I really want to continue that series as well. And then, last but not least, that brings me back around to Artemis Fowl. Like I said, I just finished The Lost Colony, so now I am starting the Time Paradox. Ooh, this cover is very shiny. So, I believe that after this book, there's only one other book left in the Artemis Fowl series, so that's really exciting that I'm almost done with it. I literally just started this one. I'm only like a few pages in, and then I got distracted and had to do something. But yes, I don't see myself finishing this month. This will probably be a September book, finished in September, because the month is already half over and I have another big trip coming up. But I am excited that I am getting to the end of Artemis Fowl, and then once I do, I can switch over to a different series. So, if there are any Artemis Fowl fans out there, let me know if The Time Paradox is a good book in this series or not. I did enjoy The Lost Colony, but I'm not sure if I enjoyed it as much as some of the previous installments. So, these are the books that I'm currently reading, and I need to pick out today a new adult sci-fi or fantasy, because, like I said, I just finished Song of Achilles. I put a poll up over on my Instagram, but I'm going to ask the question here as well. I have two books picked out that I think would make a really great standalone read. Ready Player One, yes, I know technically it has a sequel, but I don't have the sequel yet. So Ready Player One or The Martian. Both I've heard really good things about. I put a poll up over on my Instagram to ask everyone which book I should read next for my adult fantasy sci-fi category. So now I'm asking you, which book do you think I should pick for this category? Ready Player One or The Martian? Let me know in the comment section down below. That is all for my reading wrap up. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. This is a little bit of a new type of video for me, so definitely let me know if you liked it or if you didn't. That's okay too. If you're not already, please subscribe to my channel. I do new videos every Sunday, new book reviews on Wednesdays, and sometimes unboxing videos on Friday. All right, everyone, happy reading.